Out here on the golf course. This is part of my training for the week, believe it or not. I am building muscle right now. And you might be wondering, what the heck are you talking about? But I'm going to talk about it in this video. I'm going to explain how important rest and recovery and active recovery like golf, how important that is to building muscle and having a lean muscular physique. Well, good morning. Welcome to week 18. A little change in scenery this morning. We're at the golf course. So week 18, active recovery day is what we're going to call it. This is part of my routine, especially when it's warmer in the spring and in the summer. I like to take at least one day a week if I can and walk 9 holes. I try to get it in before work, just like I would with my weight training. And so I'm out here today at Riverside Course. We're going to walk 9 holes. And today we're going to talk about the role that recovery and rest and sleep and managing stress, that we're going to talk about the role those things play in building muscle and how important, how crucial they are to building muscle, to having a good, healthy, active lifestyle. It's not sexy to talk about. It's not like, oh, do this lift and this one exercise is going to get you jacked. So I don't think that people talk about it a lot, or if they do, they just say, oh, do this 3-day or 2-day workout plan. But today I'm going to talk about the actual resting and recovery. I'm going to show you what active recovery looks like for me, even though it's not sexy. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you think golf is super sexy, but we're going to talk about it and hit some balls while we're at it. Probably have a terrible round. The weather is beautiful, so since it is so beautiful, we will probably, there's like inverse relationship between how well I play and how beautiful it is. So it's really beautiful. I'll probably play terribly. But let's get to it. Hopefully you can hear me. It's pretty windy today out here on the course. Just want to talk about rest and recovery because I think most people think that all the work happens in the gym. Not so. Now that is, for many of us, that is one of the biggest things to overcome and changes to our lifestyle. When we decide to get in shape, we need to get off the couch. We need to start getting active, right? We need to be consistent in the gym. But I think the pendulum can tend to swing the opposite way. Once you get going, you can think that any missed days are missed opportunities for gains, and that's simply not true. You should not be working out 7 days a week. You need to have days off. You need to be getting enough sleep, because that's where muscle growth actually happens. That's where the repair and the adaptation happens when you're not training. When you lift, that's when your body is creating a stimulus and it's creating little micro tears in your muscle. And your body, then after that stimulus, after that weight training session, spends the next 24 to 72 hours rebuilding that tissue. And it gets slightly thicker and stronger than before. It doesn't happen if you go right back into the gym and you create that same stimulus on that muscle again. It happens during rest. Come on, get in. Get in the hole. Jesus. 3-putt. All right, so the first aspect of rest and recovery is just planned days off, right? This is doing nothing. I'd mentioned not going 7 days a week. At the very most, 6 days, right? Your body only needs a certain amount of volume to get the stimulus it needs, and anything beyond that is called junk volume because it's not helping, it's actually hurting you. So a planned rest day isn't actually a weakness, it's a feature. I typically run anywhere from 3 to 5 days for my routine. I like a push-pull legs routine. If I just get 3 days, that's a push, pull, and a leg. Depending on weather and stuff like that, I like to add in on Wednesday and Fridays. I do a moderate push day and a moderate pull day. And the idea is that moderate day can actually be swapped out for an active recovery day like today. So it's Wednesday. I'm out here on the golf course. I've decided to do an active recovery day over my moderate push day. And I'll probably be on Friday, I'll probably be back in the gym doing a moderate pull day. But this is a planned day off. And then I also always take the weekends off. So I always have 2 days of full recovery. So be encouraged. Taking a day off can feel like a waste, but I just want to encourage you that it is actually one of the best things that you can do in your strength building and your muscle building, and even your cuts when you are cutting and trying to lose body fat. Days off are good. So tip number 1, take days off. All right, next up, we're going to talk about the most exciting thing you can talk about, and that is sleep. I have talked about this before. Get your 6 to 8 hours of sleep. That's what it comes down to. 4 to 6, guys, it's not cutting it. Oh, I've got a crossroad here. So maybe you knew this or maybe you didn't, but while you sleep, that's when you have an elevated levels of growth hormone in your system. That's what helps sleep be like this powerhouse, this construction facility for muscle growth and protein synthesis, right? That doesn't really happen at other times. Your nervous system recovers. It's just, you got to think about it as optimal muscle building time. Yes, for 24 to 72 hours, your muscle is growing, but it is most efficient and most supported by other hormones and things, I don't know what to call them, in your body during sleep. So if you're getting 4 or 5 hours of sleep and you're not seeing the progress you want, maybe reevaluate. I try to get 8 or 9 hours of sleep in a dark room, a little bit cooler so I can be comfy, and try not to eat super massive amount of food so that my digestive system isn't too active. And guys, it's nothing crazy. I stopped drinking coffee around 3 p.m. And so I'm not doing anything revolutionary, but it is foundational to building muscle and maintaining muscle when you're in a cut. Now we get into my favorite category, and that is the active recovery. That's what we're out here doing today. We're on the golf course. We are walking. Walking is one of the best forms of active recovery. Low intensity. It's not going to cause undue stress or stimulus on your muscles. It's not going to make you sore for your next workout. And it's not going to contribute to any soreness you have from a previous workout. Now, walking by itself is great. 20 minutes, 30 minutes a day. Shoot for 5,000 at least, or closer to 10,000 or more steps. But man, I love getting out here on the golf course because I get kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I get to have fun doing something I love. Also, we're going to talk about stress later. Talk about a stress relief. Get my active recovery in. Get a game in. A lot of times you can do it with friends. I don't have anyone out here with me today, but it's also a good social thing to do. So let me hit some more balls here. All right, so what else counts? So we talked about walking, golfing. I mean, you also could use some light hiking, easy cycling, anything that will get the blood flowing through your muscles, because that's where the benefit comes in. You're not causing undue stress or any more muscle breakdown or stimulus, but you are getting increasing blood flow from just a regular sedentary or stationary non-moving state. And that increased blood flow is going to help move along the muscle adaptation and building process, right? It also clears metabolic waste, help reduce soreness, and it just keeps you from getting stiff, right? You're moving your muscles, you're moving your limbs. Walking 18 holes would be probably about 4 miles. I'm doing 9. I think this layout of this course is a little bit longer. It might be closer to between 2, closer to 3 miles by the end. So what a great way to flush out what's left from my yesterday workout. Doesn't have to be golf, like I said. It can be those other things. It can be just walking. I try to walk on days that I work out as well. I try to go on a walk every day for, you guessed it, active recovery and stress management. It's so good for your mental health to be outside, touching the ground, viewing the scenery, breathing air, all these things. So, point is, you want to be moving without loading your muscles hard enough to extend recovery time. You're trying to actually help recovery, not make it worse. Don't actually know if my ball made it over the water or not. It was a good shot. Gave it all I had. We'll see. So here's a fun one that no one ever talks about. Maybe there are some people, I guess, who talk about it, but we're going to talk about stress and mental health, how important that is. Your body doesn't separate gym stress from life stress. Stress is stress. So even if you're only working out 3 days a week, you're getting plenty of days off. If you are stressed at work, if your home life is stressed, you have relational stress and tension, it's going to impact your ability to recover. If you can't recover, you can't build muscle. So I hate to say it, but managing stress becomes essential. And I'm in my mid-30s, guys. I think a lot of us, I don't know, I'm generalizing here, but I feel like a lot of guys, we go through our teens and 20s and we just stuff down emotions, and then it all comes to a head because we bottled it up in our 30s and it comes out on our loved ones. So let me just encourage you to see a mental health professional, a counselor, a therapist, or something. Because high cortisol from work or poor sleep, relational stuff, it just all pulls from the same recovery pool. If your cortisol is chronically elevated, your muscle protein synthesis is going to slow, your sleep quality is going to tank, motivation drops, you can get anxious and depressed. You're just going to be spinning your wheels because you're running on empty. So obviously, I mentioned therapists, counselors, that sort of thing, but active recovery also does well. Being outside, getting plenty of sunlight makes a big difference. I know that's something that my counselor has mentioned. He's like, man, coming out of the winter, as soon as it's nice enough to be outside, that's one of the best things that you can do for your mental health. So I would say that guys who dismiss this stuff are usually the ones who are tired, they're irritable, and they're stuck. They're not making any gains in the gym. They're lifting the same weights. They look the same. They're not losing the fat. They're not gaining the muscle. Recovery isn't just physical. Protecting your mental state should be part of your program. We'll hit the ground a little bit, but oh, come on. Stop three putting. All right, here's another one that doesn't get talked about. I feel like I say that for each one of these categories because just rest and recovery is not a sexy topic. It doesn't get talked about a lot. This next category is deloads. I've done a couple of videos on deloads. I've walked you through exactly what it looks like, dropping my volume 50 to 60% over the course of the week. And you've also seen in real time during this 20-week cut that I'm doing right now, halfway through. And so week 10, I did a deload. By week 12, I was back up weights. I was actually hitting PRs. I was progressing farther. I had stagnated in week 8 and 9, deloaded in week 10. Week 11 got ramped back up, and by week 12 was already getting strength gains while in a cut, folks. I did do a diet break in week 10 as well. We'll talk about that in a second, but do not underestimate the value of a deload week. I like to go every 8 to 12 weeks. We basically just listen to your body when you feel stagnated, when you feel like you're just not recovering, you feel tired. Listen and take a deload week. Just drop the volume down. As you age, you can do even more frequently, 4 to 8 weeks. And that's a good opportunity to also switch up your workout routine. After that, once you deload, then switch it up. Let me hit this next ball and we'll talk a little bit more. Oh, not enough meat on that one. That one's it. That's the ticket. Nice 2-putt there. So going back to deloads, I think another advantage of it is you're still in the gym, still getting some stimulus, you're still moving, but you're giving your joints, your tendons, your central nervous system a chance to catch up. Most people avoid deloads because they feel like they're losing progress, but the opposite is true. You will almost always come back the following week or two hitting numbers you couldn't before. As I mentioned, I've PR'd multiple times a week or the couple weeks after a deload. So if you're in a long training block, build them deliberately and don't wait until you're run down. Build in deloads deliberately and don't wait until you're run down before you're forced into one. You can either plan them and say, hey, at week 8, I like to say, hey, I'm going to check in at week 8, week 10, or week 12. That's what I do, a check-in. But I don't wait to see when I start feeling that way. I'm planning on doing a deload. It's just a matter of, do I do it a little bit earlier or a little bit later than normal? Can't believe it. Middle of February in the morning, and I had to take off my sweater. Getting a little toasty. My hands. I'm gonna take off my glove. My hands are getting a little sweaty. This is just you can't beat this. I don't love that it indicates and points to global warming, but other than that, it's a very nice day. Cannot complain. There are much worse ways to spend a morning in the winter in St. Louis. By the way, I will still do my daily check-in. If you've watched my other workout videos, I always give you my weigh-in for the day, and we look at my nutrition in my calorie tracking app. We look at how many calories and how much protein I got the day before and how that fits into my plan. Right now, I'm on a 20-week cut, and I'm also preparing for a powerlifting meet that is a week and a half away. So about a week and a half of powerlifting prep plus a week after that of calorie deficit. Then we go on vacation, folks, and I can eat more food and take a break. But so stick around for that. If this content is helpful, or if you like it in any way, consider liking the video, the little button, and subscribing to the channel so you can follow along with the cut and all the topics that we discuss along the way. If you're specifically interested in more golf content, let me know. This isn't something I do all the time as far as filming it. I go golfing quite often, but let me know if that's something that you're interested in. Also, let me know if you're not. And the way that you let me know is by commenting in the comment section on the video. So let me know. I'll see you in a bit. Oh, a little too strong. Still, I'll take a 2-putt. That's fine. All right, one of the last things we'll talk about is diet breaks. This really only applies when you're in a calorie deficit, when you're in a cut and you're trying to lose weight. And it's especially important and relevant when you're in a more aggressive cut. So if you're trying to lose a pound to 2 pounds instead of just a half pound, that means that you're in a 500 to 1,000 calorie deficit. That's when taking breaks from your diet can have benefits. And the biggest benefit is really just on your mental state. It allows you to take a break and come back to be able to adhere to the diet a little bit more. Now, I've also talked about mini cuts and how cycling on and off of a calorie deficit can work. It's something I'm going to try after this 20-week cut, and after I take a break, I will do a diet break. And then I'm going to try 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, or 4 weeks on, 2 weeks off, something like that. I haven't fully locked it in, but that's another option that you can take. But so when you're in a calorie deficit, it's good to take a break. When you eat back into a calorie maintenance, restore leptin levels and reduce cortisol, and you give your metabolism a reset. If you don't know what leptin is, it is a hormone that's kind of the hunger hormone, right? It makes you feel hungry all the time. So, as I mentioned, I'm going to be taking a couple-week diet break here in a couple weeks after this 20-week cut ends. I've got about 2.5 weeks left. So I like to plan it and coincide that with vacation. So I can do a little bit of a deload while also getting a diet break, just give my body a full reset. And I already know that I'm going to miss my 40-pound weight loss goal, so I'll still have another 10 to 15 pounds to lose. So I'll pick that back up, but I'll do mini cuts. But I will say it can be counterintuitive to think that bumping up your calories temporarily can actually help you lose more weight. It's counterintuitive. Most people feel like they have to grind through. But if you're getting to the point where you're feeling like you're grinding, that's actually a pretty good indication that a diet break is a good idea. Because research shows that adherence is better when you take diet breaks. I think it was the MATADOR study actually showed that the cohort that dieted for 2 weeks and then ate maintenance for 2 weeks lost more weight. Now, it took a little bit longer because than the cohort that did just full dieting, but they lost more weight because they adhered to the deficit better on the weeks that they were cutting. So don't be alarmed when you take a diet break. The scale might tick up a few pounds. This happens for me. I usually on the weekends eat a little bit more carbs and sodium anyway, but that's why we weigh ourselves every day and we look at the weekly smooth average of our weight and know that the muscle that you're trying to maintain is going to appreciate that. and you're not really going to be gaining any fat if you're not eating above maintenance. So diet breaks for the win. Woo. Oh, come on, get in. All right, we're on the 18th hole. Let's wrap this up. Pattern here when we talk about rest is that it's not passive, even though it seems like it. It's actually productive. It's counterintuitive. It's one of the most productive things you can do because your body can only do so much at once. And when you're recovering, it's not doing nothing. It's doing the actual work of rebuilding muscle. The gym is the stimulus, sleep, food, rest days, managing stress. Those are the response. You need both. Skipping rest to train more is like planting seeds and digging them up every day to check if they're growing. Anyone have toddlers? Oh, yeah, my son had a lima bean in a bag and he kept on checking on it every day and it just ended up just not growing because he kept on disturbing it. So, all right, I'm going to finish up this terrible round of golf, but it's not going to be a waste because it's a beautiful day and I've had a chance to do some active recovery. Side note, if you have been, if you're wondering if you're overtraining, drop a comment. Let me know. What is your typical program? What's your rest look like? What's your sleep look like? Drop a comment. Let me know. We'd be happy to discuss it some more with y'all. And be sure to stick around after the round. We will do the daily check-in. Well, I ended up having a really terrible last couple of holes. But you know what? I probably won't show all of the shots anyway, so not a big deal. And more to the point, we still had a really good time out there today. It was a beautiful day. So let's do our daily check-in. Weighed in at 183.3 today. This about 0.4 pounds down from yesterday. It's bringing our weekly average down. That means that the new calorie deficit, I believe, is working. So the switching from a goal of 18 to 1900 calories a week to shooting to about 1500 calories, I think is going to be, that's what it should be. The reason I hadn't been doing that before is just it's so hard. But trying to do it for just a week and a half sprint feels doable. I just don't know if I could have done it for 4 weeks. So let's look at what that actually looked like yesterday. 1366, so that is a little bit lower than 1500, but I think that'll allow me to have a little bit of a 15, 16, maybe even a 1700 calorie day one of these days. We'll see. Still a decent amount of protein, 166 grams, so close to 180 grams, which is the goal. Again, hard to get that much protein when you have so little calories. A little lower on the sodium. I probably didn't enter all the sodium the way that I should have. It was probably higher than 26. Our goal is 3, 4, 5,000 milligrams right now, so that when we drop down on the water cut next week, that it'll really flush out the water. A little bit low on the carbs today or yesterday too. 150 is what we're shooting for. But again, it's hard to get when you have so little calories. It's just hard to do. The actual food itself, typical coffee and a bronze David bar. For lunch, banana, popcorn, bronze bar, grilled chicken. That I was talking about that the other day. I grilled all that chicken and that Italian dressing on Monday, and that's going to be what I eat every day this week, either for lunch or dinner, one or the other. A little Greek yogurt, a carrot. For dinner, just some chicken noodle soup, another David bar, and some pickles. And for snacks, really not that much. I ate up most of my calories within the meal, so just a rice cake and a coffee. I just had another coffee later in the day with my peppermint gum. And even with that, felt like hardly any food. And that was still over 1350. So, but the good news is that we're 3 days in, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Just another, I don't know, well, really just another, 6 days, I think, or something like that. Next Tuesday will be the last day that I have to eat this little. And then I'll be able to decide after the powerlifting meet what I want my deficit to look like the final week of the cut. It'll probably be a pretty moderate deficit, probably just 300 to 500 calorie deficit rather than 1,000 calories, just because I'm going to feel a little bit tired, and that'll be a good way to finish, I think. So that's it for the daily check-in. Hopefully these videos are informative and entertaining, and if so, subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow. We're back in the gym tomorrow. Got heavy leg day. We've been doing our heavy singles with a top or a top set, and then a couple of back off sets, and keeping the volume a little bit lighter as we prepare to really ramp down next week and give our muscles a break before we go into the powerlifting meet next weekend. So stick around, subscribe so that you can make sure you get the rest of the prep for the meet itself and then the end of the cut. It is fast approaching. See you next time.